So hello all, thanks for finding this hidden place and making it nearly on time after the lunch, so thanks for that. I'm Frantisek, I'm a product owner of the Packit project at Red Hat. And from the color palette and the employer, you might be wondering if I'm on the right conference, but no worries, we'll get to that. What's ahead of us? I'll do a quick recap of how the distribution infrastructure looks from on the Fedora and openSUSE side. Then I'll describe the Packit project. We'll take a look at some build and test workflows. Then various possibilities that are ready now and things that I would be glad for your help or involvement. And a couple of related projects we are building on top of or are related to us, so that might be interested for you as well. And I've mentioned that I would like to maybe ask you for help or involvement, and I would like to actually do that also for the presentation. So sorry about that after the lunch, but if you can go to that link or just go to menti.com and put this weird number, I will have a couple of questions during the presentation, asking few basic things. No worries, no hard data needed, just that I know maybe how you stand on things, so I better understand who I'm talking to. So and to test it, there is a first question. How much do you know about Fedora? So please connect. This is still the QR code badly placed behind me, and we can see how much. There is it's a scale between don't know anything and I'm the part of that, whatever it means. So I'll give you that 10 people made it for the newcomers. If you can get to that link, you can get more engaged during the slides. There is still the number on the top, so you can still join us later on. Nice. So yeah, it looks like all of you somehow know it. Maybe few of you are already part of the community. That's nice to know. Thanks. Okay, so let's take a look at some generic overview how Linux distribution might look like. So these are the places that put this together. So on the left we have some kind of source control. So the place where the metadata of the packages are present. Then there is some kind of build process happening. Then we are going through the putting multiple packages together and in form of repositories, and there is some kind of artifact creation from these repositories. Maybe some monitoring happening around the build, and good distribution has a QE process on hand. And since it's a distribution, so we are actually trying to distribute something to the user. So then last step we have some mirrors. So how this looks from the Fedora perspective. So as a source control, we are using Git. And every package is represented by a Git repository, and for each Fedora version there is a separate branch representing it. Like all the metadata spec files are present. Currently, Pagure, or how do you want to pronounce it, is the Git forge of that is acting, but we are slowly moving towards Forgeo as a fork of Git. And then there is a Koji. Actually, there are two build systems. One is Koji, that is part of the main workflow, and there is a Cooper that is targeting more normal users, so anyone can build anything in Cooper, provide user repositories. If you are familiar with PPA from the Ubuntu world, that's kind of that. Then Punchy takes care of the repository and image producing, and then we have also Koshei that tries to take care of the reverse dependency rebuilds or checks. And as a QE, we have two things. One on the compose level is OpenQA. See the familiar color there, and maybe also the service. And there is a Bodhi, which is acting on the single package, and there is usually before any update gets to the user, there is some karma voting on this board here, and people can like thumbs up, thumbs down, and mention that yeah, this bug is fixed or not. So some basic voting before it gets to the user. It's much simpler on the openSUSE side. I won't touch that much because you are better and in that and more familiar with that. But basically, most of the things are taken care of by Open Build Service. Yeah, so basically that much simpler schema. So I see few familiar faces, but next question. So we can move to the Packit project. So do you know what's that? Have you heard about it? I would be really curious, like who I'm talking to. So it's fine to say yes, no, just so we know. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, a lot of people don't know. That's probably good that I'm here. Yeah, or maybe I'm doing a bad marketing. So depend. Or maybe both. Okay, so
you're doing fine.
Yeah, a couple of people know, but a lot of people maybe some have heard but don't use. So let's try to describe that. Okay, so Packit project's goal is to make upstream and downstream closer together. That's like ultimate goal of our team. And by upstream we mean like GitHub, GitLab, basically the developer space where the development happens. And by the downstream we mean like the distributions currently, or we originally started as like Fedora-centric thing, but we are also covering nowadays like CentOS and CentOS community infrastructure, but we would like to cover more on that front. We do this ultimate goal by getting upstream and downstream close together by two things. One is like bringing downstream feedback towards upstream development, so providing basically a CI on GitHub, GitLab. And then we are trying to bring upstream releases more easily, more smoothly to the users, to the distributions. So we are providing automation for the distributions. Okay, so let's take a look how this looks from the upstream CI point of view. So the first use case, so for GitHub and GitLab, we have an integration. And as you can see, there are some various logos and services being mentioned, and that basically shows how Packit works. It's standing on top of existing services and gluing them together and providing like a user-centric, Git4-centric workflow on top of that. So you can like pinpoint various functionality from that. So you can run RPM builds for your pull requests or commits or releases. You can run tests in testing farm either directly or in the VM or container that has actually the freshly built RPM installed. So you can mimic the final environment where the user install your update. You can directly see if this will break during the build or if it will, what will happen when this will be actually installed and used. There is also an OpenScan Hub integration, so you can run static analysis, and there is a prototype of image builder allowing us to use these RPMs in a VM builds. Okay, now the Fedora automation part, the downstream part. Actually, Packit tries to bring upstream and downstream closer together, so we need to give their space for upstream. So for users of this GitHub, GitLab integration, for upstream projects that use that, they can start there, but there is option also for others. So first step we need to do is like take the upstream release and move it to the dist-git, to the distribution git, and update what's necessary. So as I mentioned, the users of GitLab can configure it on the upstream part, but there is also like so-called pull workflow using Anitia, which is not sure why they have two names, Anitia or Upstream Release Monitoring. That's an interesting service that tries to like gather information about upstream projects and collect information and message if there is an upstream release happening. So both ways possible. Both both ways results in a set of pull requests in the dist-git, so updating anything, requiring spec file, change logs, and these things, and also uploading source to look-aside cache. Then once the pull request is reviewed, ideally, and merged, there is a new Koji build being triggered, and once there is a successful Koji build, there is a body update. So we are trying to like glue these manual maintenance steps together, and just this service is taking care of the waiting and checking the results, and the human is ideally only on the review side. Okay, so a lot of Fedora things, but what about openSUSE? So let's take a look what Packit actually can do for openSUSE users. So actually, despite the name, Fedora Cooper can produce RPMs for openSUSE truth, targets, or how do you want to call it? So you can use these. So you can, we are defining everything in this Packit YAML. We have set of jobs, so you can pick only things that you are that are relevant for you. And by defining this Cooper build job for pull requests and for this target, you will get for each pull request you will get this nice status, ideally if it is built. I've skipped the part in the configuration that you need to say Packit that there is a spec file and so on. But basically, that's the thing. That's the use case you want to like test that your packages can be built. You can also install it from Cooper, but if you want like your users to actually get these, you can provide like stable repositories, ideally for some branch, for example, stable or main or anything like that. So a Cooper build job for trigger commit to a stable branch, and you need to specify this preserved project, so it's not like refreshed or like removed after 3 months or something like that. So by that you can easily have like also releases are supported, so you can like get your code much quicker to your users than when it needs to go through the like pipeline of the distribution. I've mentioned OpenScanHub. It's a like static analysis service on top of CSMock. That is built on top of mock, so kind of a lot of tools, but basically there is no hard configuration needed. Basically you need to have a Cooper build defined for your pull request and for the branch that you are merging the pull request in, usually main. If you have these two build jobs defined, Packit will run the scan analysis for you. And the ultimate thing on this is that it produces differential scan results for you. So only the new findings are presented to you, so which is really awesome. So you don't need to like go through the pile of like 10,000 weird issues that usually are not relevant. With this static analysis, there are a lot of false positive, but with this you can just go through the like these that are relevant to this pull request. So what you are potentially introducing into. Sadly, there is not a, I've checked a while ago with the maintainer, and there is not an openSUSE target enabled on the service, but since mock and Cooper and these has it, so if you are interested in that, just create an issue, please enable this mock target. This will be like a one-liner change, and they will do that. But this is building on top of like RPMs, but it's not so important which if the like dependencies are fulfilled. So you can freely use Fedora Rawhide or anything for now. It's not so important. It's just the like way how to get all the information towards this scanning tool. So it's not so important to have like the exact same environment. Okay, so but what about OBS? You are probably familiar with that, and that it can do much more than Cooper. Okay, so with a history lesson. Actually, Dan Chermak, you might have seen him here. Try to do this. You might read the date. It's nearly 2 years ago. He tried to integrate Packit with OpenScanHub, and you might know that. OBS, for example, for now doesn't have a Git, which is thing that Packit thought that it will be there. So we in Packit provided like take a lot of assumptions about like how the packaging works, and we need to like get rid of those maybe to make it generic. So Dan started to work on that, and we shouldn't have spent so much time on that because there was some changes with the OBS and OSC and all the stuff around, and time was flying a bit. We actually reviewed it, and you know the reviews, like just a few comments. Still that's January next year. And time flight, and not much was happening. So that's my start of my role here. I had some experience with Google Summer of Code, so I reached out to Dan and suggested, since openSUSE is taking part of the last year's GSOC, what about doing this as part of GSOC? Someone else can maybe join and help us, because it's quite some time. So Dan, let's propose it, and we have Brian started working on that. And he took over the work by Dan and started working on that. But actually, summer is not so long, so it wasn't possible to finish that. And then that was my another part of this whole history. There was a FOSDEM call for papers, and I was thinking it's sad that it's still not finished. So I messaged Dan and asked him, like, what about submitting a talk, and we will then finish that. So Dan said, yes, that's a good idea. And actually, he also take over the work by Brian that was taken over by him, and actually finished that. And that's the screenshot before the FOSDEM talk, 8 hours before that. Actually, we matched the code, and it's there. So what's actually there is the command line, Packit's command line. So you can use Packit command line to trigger OBS builds. But there is still the Packit service, like this glue eventing needed to be done. And not much work, but someone needs to spend some time on that. The service part is, if someone was curious, that's the part taking over like the processing of the events, reporting to GitForge, and this thing. Help wanted on that part. So this is the command line. So you are basically specifying owner projects. You need to have the OSRC configured, and that's how it can look like. So Packit itself can be somehow built in OBS. Okay, so but there is OBS is not only about like building RPMs. It can do much more, and it's actually like also part of the distribution. So it would be nice to have this like release workflow covered here as well. And actually, it won't be so hard. But we need to wait for the Git in OBS, and I'm really looking forward to that. And once we have this, it would be quite simple to do. And also, second requirement, please don't diverge GTA and Forjo too much, so we don't. But I think it's doable. But if it won't diverge so much, we can collaborate quite nicely on that front. So I'm really looking forward. So yep, this might happen. So what about tests? Actually, let me introduce the testing farm. I've mentioned that. So that's like a testing system as a service. So you have an API, you call the API, and it runs the test and provides results. Really simple. It's built on top of a hybrid infrastructure, so you don't need to take care of all the provisioning. If there is an outage in some provider, it will automatically hand over elsewhere. So really nice. And a lot of various CI systems are using that underneath. So like RHEL CI, also Fedora CI, which is being replaced by Packit itself. That's a third use case Packit is covering, and also various zoo tenants and other stuff. Underneath, it uses TMT, and TMT is a test management tool, which is tries to be like a user-friendly way how to manage tests, or how to like execute them, prepare environments, store them, also ideally have same definition that you are able to run locally on your laptop within all the steps during the pipeline. And it's like and have also like the documentation there and some planning, and it's Git based, so you can also import various like plans from other sources, so it's quite nicely like you can combine that. And it uses some kind weird format called FMF. Yeah, the author has a lot of love to 3-letter abbreviations. And it's YAML on steroids with some magical stuff, but yeah, I think it's understandable. So that's the thing. Actually, testing farm for now doesn't support openSUSE, but it won't be hard to edit. There are 3 things needed. Support for the package manager, which is like basically implementing 3, I would say, methods in the TMT code, and then there needs to be most easy way will be to have like AWS images available, so testing farm can specify so-called compose. So define compose means that there is like name of the compose, and we can do that now, live.
Sure.
Yes, please do. We'll sit down probably with guys and fix that. And defining the compose is really like, this is the name of the compose, and this is the AWS image that's being represented by that. And the team has also some kind of like automation, so you don't need to like update this manually. So there isn't like this can be done. Okay, so there are a couple of related projects that I think might be interesting to you. So one is the OGR library, Ogre, that we've produced since we are working with a couple of Git forges. So there is this library that supports GitHub, GitLab, Azure, and partially also Forgeo, so maybe also Git. So you can have like one code that can interact with all these Git forges. Then there is a spec file library, which is able to like not even parse, but also work with the spec file in a nice Python way. And also you can do changes that are try to be like very limited in the scope, so you don't like rewrite or regenerate all the spec file. But if you, for example, change the version, you can also transitively change the macros or something like that. Quite handy thing to do. And also Dan, I hope I'm mentioning him last time, has produced a language server for like various editors, so you can take a look at that. Then there's a prototype of another Python module that's trying to be a secure way how to expand macros. So it's trying to be like a no RPM macro expander, so kind of meta. But yeah, that's one thing. And since we don't want users to like rewrite the config files each release of the distribution, we've created these Fedora distro aliases and basically excluded it to a separate package so it can be used by anyone. So this contains like the up-to-date and freshly getting information about like which version is currently supported, and there is an openSUSE variant for that as well with the same API. Okay, so last and most important question, like I would be really glad to know like how much, and if you are interested in using Packit, maybe help with some of these things and using any of the libraries. So please put anything to the to scope, so I can feedback for me if I've done a good job, or I should maybe get in touch with some of you. So if you can spend a minute on that, that would be nice. Yeah. If someone wants to help, that's awesome. That's usually the tough part. There are a lot of people interested, but not so many people that actually want to do something. But yeah, looks like I'm in a good place.
You're in the right place.
Yeah. Nice. So yeah, I'll give people a while, and we can slowly move to the last 2 slides. Okay. Nice. By the way, if you want to start using Packit, either ask me directly, or we are trying to, as a team, be really helpful and communicative over Matrix. So reach out. We'll try to help you with the setup, if possible. And if there are a lot of people interested in some feature, we are basing our plans on that. So if we know that there are a couple of people interested, we can spend effort spending time on that. If we know that there is only one person, maybe find a friend or others who will do thumbs up on your issues or something like that. Okay, so you can still vote. Thanks for the feedback. Small recap, how to help actually. So what would help you? And I guess you might find what fits your interest. So if you want to help with the like making once OBS supports Git or how to call that thing. So the Git/Forgeo support in this library is not finished. So there are still a couple of issues needed to be fixed. It's basically like transforming the Forgeo API to some like unified object, so really simple thing. Then adding the zipper support. I've asked the TMT team how should I do that, and they didn't bother to answer me and just provided this AI-generated documentation, which is really nice and showed a lot of details and show me like the API.
Are you sure it's real?
I hope. Let's see. No, I checked the code, and it looks like it's really like implementing free. I was surprised that it's really good, the output, but we'll see if it's for real. Then there is this prepare image. There is an example how it's done for the Fedora ELN. So basically, similar setup needs to be done, and on the OBS part, there will be some work required. So a couple of follow-ups from the work by Dan. That's the first issue. It's an epic with a couple of issues, and the second epic is like providing this service part. If anyone is interested in that, I would be happy to like mentor or help this person, give like pointers where to start. And that's all. So thanks a lot. The easiest way how to reach out is this documentation page. I forgot to mention the Matrix channel, but it's on the main page, so hope you will find it. So thanks a lot. Any questions? People are either know everything, scared, or I did a bad job.
Hi. Not really much of a question, but I'm not sure what you mean by waiting for OBS to support Git, because Git is supported by OBS, like the build part, for a few years now. So if you use the STM sync, you can sync projects or packages into the OBS.
Yes, so basically for the projects that use this sync can use this directly. Okay, I'll
and also you can build against projects that are not in like Git based, right? So you can build against factory, but have a package that is in Git, right?
Yeah, so maybe we can play with that. We'll probably find some like bugs on the way, but yeah, we can play with that. Thanks for the reminder. Yeah. I was thinking that that maybe we should wait for like all are prepared, but if people can play with that would be nice.
I mean, there also, you can just, I mean, you're already having to synthesize stuff to ship into dискit. You can use the same process and treat the mutant SVN that is OBS version control in the same way. Like this is, when I was writing OBS CTL, I did the same thing. And that's also a mechanism you could use for this. Yeah, actually Dan already started with that and stopped in the middle because it was really tedious. For two reasons, maybe that there is a difference between these version systems, but also that Packit did some assumptions that we are working with Git, so we actually need to like replace all the Git commands with something else, so it would need. You probably need to do that abstraction anyway for things that don't use Git in the first place.
We have an abstraction for upstreams that doesn't use Git, but not for downstream.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. So bad assumptions, me 5 years ago or 8 or sorry.
Hi. So I have another question. Do you have it on the roadmap to support other stuff than just OBS and Fedora and Koji builds, like maybe even build stuff like Debian packages, so you could have like a unified CI to build all packages from it? I mean, OBS supports that, so you could theoretically do it via OBS, but
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for the question. Yeah, actually, that was sorry. Also, why people ask, like, why don't you have OBS? Because it can support everything. So, yeah, why not? But another reason, another thing that I 5 years ago said that this is a lot of spec file related. So there would be needed some code like to get rid of this and maybe abstract this Wolf with like the spec files. So maybe that. Currently we don't have like direct plans. If we also that we are focused on like this RPM world also because our team is like a Red Hat based. So yeah, but we are happy if there is anyone interested. We are happy to like get this work, or maybe like we also can maybe set up like a similar service with like different implementation with different handlers. I think we can find a way.
I see. Thanks.
Thanks.
So this is a rather specific question. You were talking about spec file server. Are you using spec files that come from distros, or are you using some simplified spec files? Because distro spec files usually need some more tweaking than just version number bumps when you update a version.
Can I answer that, or we are out of time? We can. Oh, okay. So yeah, you can actually use both. Also in upstream, you can either have a spec file in upstream, separate one, or you can download the distribution one, and also when syncing, you can do some tweaking. So couple of options possible on that front. But yeah, it's not so simple. Not sure if I've covered that. Okay. So thanks a lot, and I'm worried we are out of time. Thanks.